No.
The stream has started. We're all good.
Oh.
I stream.
Hi, stream. Welcome to Evening Wolfpack.
Wolfpack Nights.
Which is actually the original format. This is the original format of Wolfpack.
Feels weird.
Not the original.
Well, we didn't do it on the
original. Yeah, the original was. I was like, why do I hate this so much? The idea of nighttime meeting, and it's because it's on the computer. Like if we were hanging out, I would not hate it, but I really hate the idea of being on the computer for 2 hours at night.
Yeah, well, we would do night in person specifically because of how nice it would be. But whatever.
I'm just saying. I had to like think about that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But during the summer, that could be like really nice.
Yeah.
Early
They
summer.
made the summer
Late spring.
Ryan, did you make a crazy sound a second ago?
Yeah, I was seeing if my mic was on. I didn't think you could hear that.
I heard it.
We all heard it.
I don't know if I heard
Strike
it.
one.
More to come.
Yep. The
Well, you
first
wanna
thing
talk
I didn't
about-
want anyone to see on the internet today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm hoping there'll be two more, and the last one we'll have to end the whole night. We'll have to pull the plug because they'll be so bad.
I hope it's the last thing that happens in Chapter 4.
Will someone get shot?
Yeah, in the subway in New York City.
Oh, well.
Because of the Batman movie.
Because of the Batman.
Batman did it.
Or Riddler.
No, Batman did it.
I'm having deja vu with this Batman. Like, I remember when the new gritty Batman came out, and I said, didn't we already have a new gritty Batman? And then I looked at the previews, and I was like, is this grittier than the old gritty Batman?
He just keeps getting more and more gritty.
That's exactly my issue with it. It's not
he's a
shocking
gritty
anymore.
character. He's gritty out of the box. Like, what else are you gonna do? Are you gonna have a Batman?
Batman is not gritty. Batman is
Everyone
not gritty out of the
hated that.
box. The best Batman is
doesn't
Adam
know.
West. The
He was
1960
gritty before.
I agree with Mark.
The 1968 Batman movie is the best and most perfect Batman movie.
But that's
Here's
not
the
Batman.
thing: is that that's going to be a thing again.
That
like
is
they're
correct,
going to do
but
that
I don't
again.
think. But that's
They
not
have
the
to.
wish they
original
would.
Batman.
They have
That's
to.
not.
And if they
That's not.
did,
Well, that's
not
the
original tone of Batman.
the Joel
I
Schumacher
wish they would do
Batman
that again,
kind
and
of
if
was
You're
that.
correct that
If they did, I
Batman
would
should
go.
be stupid.
I'm kind of hoping that at the end of this movie, it all turns out to have been in Batman's head.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I
that'd
think
be
there's a
great.
big possibility for that.
Like
then-
all of
And then
Batman
he's the
movies.
Joker. Because Robert Pattinson could be the Joker, I think.
No, Joker is his
Batman?
boyfriend.
Batman really should be a bad guy. He's a rich guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he keeps getting grittier and grittier. We're coming to terms with the fact that Batman
he's-
is a bad guy.
But he's still the good guy, though.
Right, we haven't
kind of
completely
relative, right?
accepted it yet, but the next gritty reboot of Batman will have Batman being the criminal, and we all have to figure out how to stop Batman.
I don't think so.
You think we have any more between that?
I don't think it's going to
I
happen.
don't. I don't.
Joke's
the
on you,
movies,
Jen, because I'm making the next gritty Batman reboot.
the
I'll
movies
see
won't
that.
allow it.
I will fucking go to that.
Yeah,
There you go.
the Connor Kaiser
I won't
gritty
go.
Batman sounds good to me.
It's all in his head.
The Kaiser
He's just
Batman.
Killing people willy-nilly. They didn't even do anything wrong. He's just rich, so they don't arrest him.
That's kind of the Frank Miller Batman.
It's
Is
kind of
that-
the war in the Ukraine.
In Batman's
Sure.
world, he is seen as a bad guy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No, he works with cops.
thank God Batman's here.
Oh, they're scared of him for sure. People are
Yeah.
scared of him.
He's a menace to society.
He's a menace to criminal society.
He's a
Well,
menace to criminals, but like,
Well, there are some times where the cops are out to get him too, like in
Yeah, the cops
Batman
need
Year
him.
One kind of
That's true.
stories.
Yeah.
No,
They're
that-
like, he's
that
a
makes
vigilante
sense.
and that's not allowed.
that you're right. It's just the cops. I don't know how the people think of him.
I mean,
Just don't
Yeah.
know.
It's probably pretty provable that with all his millions of dollars, he probably could have improved Gotham City in innumerable ways that weren't.
The problem is that when you invest money into improving the government, it just creates jobs for people that work in government to oversee the new version of government. And it doesn't have
your money, but he's not in the government. He's not in the government. He doesn't have to put his money into the government.
Yeah.
He better not put it into the government.
I mean, he's a millionaire. He's trying as hard as he can to not put it into the government, and unless it's in very select ways that he can control.
In the cartoon, there's some implication that the Wayne family is financially involved with the mayor of Gotham.
Wait, Connor, you've watched part of the new Batman?
I've watched none of the new Batman.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna say what happens in the new.
You know the new Batman?
I saw it, which is so weird that I saw it. It was just like Kenny and some other friends of ours were going, and I never go. I always just say like, "Hi, see you later. I'll be at home." Mm-hmm. Kenny goes with other people, but for some reason I was like, "I'll go."
I'll go to the 3-hour Batman. Not that interested in the 2-hour Batman. I'll see the 3-hour Batman now.
I tell you right now, I don't like Paul Dano.
That's fair.
Well, he's the heel of the movie.
I don't believe it. I'm like, he's not really there.
I don't really know why you should have to like him. I think it's
you're not supposed to like him. The whole point is not liking him. He's the bad guy.
Right. But I'm kind of hoping that it turns out that he's actually Batman.
I mean, that can play into it. You know, kayfabe is a complex thing.
In terms of the actor, I don't like his face.
Yeah, the actor. We're talking about the actor.
Important aspect of acting is your face.
Doesn't he wear a mask like the whole movie? He's all like suited up.
Yeah, you know what's under there though.
I don't know what happens in this movie. I've not seen
the movie.
I think he gets a coffee.
I'm not.
That's all I know.
I'm not. I mean, I just feel funny talking. I feel funny about this whole conversation because it's a bunch of things talking about the new Batman without having.
We're not talking about the new Batman. We're just talking about Batman.
All Batman.
Oh, I just assumed that
the timeless institution of Batman.
Yeah, we're just talking about.
I still agree with Mark that Adam West is the best. I mean, I can't.
That's true.
I watched that movie so many times as a kid. So many times in the show too. We had some of the show on.
I didn't see it at all until like 2 years ago, and then I was instantly like, "This is the greatest movie of all time."
It was my introduction to Batman.
Yeah,
Frank Gorshin rules really hard. Like they're all. Everybody is so good.
Oh yeah, everyone who plays the villain, all the villain actors are like
totally
unilaterally amazing. Like,
is it the Eartha Kitt Catwoman in the movie, or is it the white lady?
It's Julie Newmar in the movie. It's not Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I can't remember because I
haven't seen the guy who plays the Riddler is different.
And I watched the movie and the show as a kid, so I can't remember.
Yeah, the guy who plays the Riddler is different because in the show, at least for a while, it's Gomez, Ryan's employer.
You're employed by him?
Indirectly. Because
some of his money goes to pay for my...
Right. It's the same way that Ted Turner bought me a coat.
Yes.
Sure.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But it's Frank Gorshin in the movie, right?
I don't remember the name, but he's amazing. Like
I believe I'm correct.
I did a Halloween costume one year that was specifically that Riddler.
Nice.
I feel like there's a lesson to be learned of the Adam West being the best Batman and Roger Moore being the best Bond. That these characters, when they're done as totally campy, silly goofs, are wonderful. And then as soon as you try to be serious about them, it's like becomes a chore. Like the gritty James Bond is the worst thing I can't even begin to understand what the appeal of a gritty James Bond is.
They're just not James Bond
because it really upsets James Bond fans. I'm really interested in how James Bond fans are like. If you take away his class and him and being a fancy man, he's just a rapist who beats up everybody. and it's fun to be like, yeah, that's what that character is.
No,
That's
the
what
character
James
is about
Bond is.
double entendres. He's about like double entendres and a witty use of a technological gadget that didn't actually become useful in the way it was intended. Those to me are the James Bond characteristics. Are like you got to be able to say funny, dirty jokes and then like use your robot pen in a way that was not intended by the maker of the robot pen.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you're just a cop.
Mm-hmm. They're all cops. All the superheroes are cops.
Yeah.
They're all Hercules.
Yeah.
That's the real paradigm to break with superheroes is that they're not going to be on the cop side anymore. Like, I feel like that'll be cool when we see a real superhero.
They've been digging in the other way, though. They made fucking Bilbo the FBI agent in the movie about Black Panthers. They're like very firmly, I feel like, entrenching the opposite direction.
Yeah, Black Panther was basically written, by the CIA. Like,
right.
It had to be. It had to have been. There's no other person on Earth, I feel like,
movie than that.
My contribution to this conversation is that the only cool superheroes are the X-Men, and it's because they are outlaws.
The X-Men are pretty much the only superheroes I have any patience for now, and really only in comic book form because I don't care.
Oh
really
Well, Wolverine is going to be in the new Doctor Strange. Everybody's saying.
Who?
Really? As who? By who?
Wolverine.
Wolverine is. Sorry, I didn't hear the Wolverine part.
Wolverine.
As Jackman.
I don't know.
Or
a non-Jackman Wolverine.
Jared Leto.
I don't know. Everything that I'm hearing, people are really hoping it's someone who's very short.
Yeah.
We're done.
Kevin Hart.
We need a Wolverine that is true to the source material. For once in our lives, we are finally ready. Danny,
tiny Canadian man,
play Wolverine.
Yeah, Danny DeVito get shredded and play Wolverine.
He doesn't need. Oh, he does need to get shredded.
He has to be.
No,
shredded.
he doesn't.
I think he can do that.
He's got to be
like
like
computers now.
Well, no, that's weird.
Yeah,
it's all weird. It's a very weird genre.
It is.
He has to be a little shredded and very hairy. Who could do it?
Danny DeVito's very hairy already.
That's true.
Oh my god,
he's like 80 something though.
He's too old.
So's Wolverine.
Yeah, he's too old.
You're gonna burn him out. Let's let him.
Wolverine is old.
Yeah, but he's not that kind of old though.
I just don't want to endanger Danny DeVito.
Also, we don't know how he could. If he's coming from the Doctor Strange movie, that means that they could take him from any place in time because he's so old. They could take him like ancient Japan or something.
Is Mark doing a toe knife right now as a tribute to Danny DeVito?
No, I was just looking at my foot. We did
check it out.
We did the foot peel things like a week ago, and I'm waiting for all the skin on my foot to peel off.
That's really
Foot
cool.
peel?
You're still waiting?
Yeah, it takes like 2 weeks.
What is a foot peel?
It's a thing that you can get at like Ulta or on the internet, and it's a plastic bag that you put on your foot, and it's got this chemical in it that you like soaks into the dead skin on your foot, and then you leave it on for like an hour and a half or whatever, and then like a week and a half later the skin on your feet starts to peel off.
It's an acid. You're making like your foot into Carpaccio.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I know that it is fun. If you're into peeling dead skin, it's a good time.
I like my feet to get. I like dead skin on my feet. I like my feet to be like. I don't want my feet to be smooth and babyish. I want to be able to like walk outside with no shoes on.
I mean, that's fine too. But it is a good time. I don't do it all the time. I do it like once every couple of years or something. But
you talking about going to get a pedicure?
He got a foot peel.
Oh, cool.
Pedicures are nice too. It's a good time.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Maybe you can take Kenny to get a pedicure sometime.
Do they give you a foot massage too?
Kenny, I would love to
really
get pedicures with you. That'd be incredible.
Do they give
We
you
only
a
have 2
massage?
hours.
He said he wants to get a pedicure with you.
We'll do it.
Is that with the hands or the feet?
Feet.
Manny
feet
is
pedicure.
hands. Eddie is
We can do the hands too, man. That's great too.
He says you can do the hands too.
Yeah,
I won't.
Jen, you don't have to
do them. We'll
translate.
get a
Like,
nice
you
middle-aged
can hear
lady
what
to do it.
I feel like he's not listening. That's why I'm doing it.
I don't like interfacing with this. I made it through COVID, and this is the second time I've done this. I don't have to do these things at all.
I mean,
Zoom.
5G causes COVID.
I like to imagine you zooming with a tree, like telling someone
Just a
that.
tree on the screen.
Yeah, and you like have to tell someone to move the camera so you can see another part of the tree.
Let me look at that tree.
It weirds me out.
Did we talk about any of chapter 4 last time?
We did.
I think we did.
Yeah, we talked
Yeah, we
about
did,
like
right?
half of it.
We dipped our toe. We got in there.
Oh, also, I
Yes,
wanted
yes,
to
we
point out that Johan has joined us
Oh wow.
Hello.
for evening pack.
Yo.
Somebody click that bell. Somebody-
Where is the
How far?
Where's the pencil?
Yeah, where's the pencil? How far did we get into it?
I mean, I don't know if I also can't say for sure that my pencil was like where we were or if it was just where I was reading or something at the
Let's give
time.
the number.
Last time we talked about like a little bit of 3 and then some of 4.
Yeah.
And then
And we were kind of bouncing back.
I moved my pencil because I was reading after that.
So, in chapter 4,
Yeah.
Silk and Quetzal are hanging out. Yeah, that's what else happened?
Yeah.
in this chapter?
They have there was something in here that I thought was really interesting.
Did Quetzal suck that kid's blood?
Oh yeah.
Diesel?
Definitely.
Oh, something that I realized. Oh yeah, obviously he did. Something that I realized that I just saw that I had marked somewhere in here was that I feel like I never remembered them mentioning. They refer to these things like called eyes, which are obviously just like cameras. Like there's an eye high up on a building, blah blah blah. And I just never caught that before. That there's obviously like a really intense like surveillance system in the whole city, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some of which doesn't work, but it's like a whole
I
layer that I didn't really like consciously realize before this read through.
I get the impression that it works a lot more than you would think. Don't they? I think the richer people have access to it. Like,
yeah, well,
when
I mean, and
they're-
obviously there's like when Rose is calling up the image of Chenille like on the boat or whatever. There, it's like obviously, but I just hadn't really thought about the fact that there are probably just cameras like fucking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like London.
Yeah. And I wonder if you could see literally almost everywhere with a camera with one of the eyes, because they can see Chenille. It's not like they can't. It's just not a good. It's just like they can just barely see it, but they can out there in the middle of the water.
Exactly, and you imagine in the city, there's probably shitloads of them like everywhere, and that's the way that the mainframe structure can like keep tabs on whatever's going on, and like if they want to find you, they. Oh, hey Jordan, nice ring.
Yeah, isn't it? We have this. Isn't it beautiful? But so Rose, very like casual, not casually, but so her command to the window mirror is let's see what that slut is doing or whatever. So like she very well, it sounds like she's very regularly getting like, let's see what Silk's doing. All right, show me this guy. Show me this. I watch his blood. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, right?
probably watches everybody. Like you have the ability. It's like if you could ask your smartphone, and which you can. But I mean, it's like you can literally ask your smartphone, show me what so and so is doing just by talking to it. Like that's where the technology they have has evolved to.
Do you think this is a secret? Sorry.
No.
Do you think this is like a special ability that Rose has because of Echidna? Do you think this is something that Echidna does through her, or do you think that almost everybody can do this?
Anyone with the glass and the knowledge, right? Like the thing that's weird to me is that not everyone seems so aware of it. Like you would think they would be like, oh shit, like we're doing something sketchy and there's an eye up there, but like nobody seems at all aware of it. Like the eyes, like Silk just picks it up, along the way, but like it just seems like it used to be a lot more common, and maybe people just knew more about it and had more access to glasses.
I wonder if okay, I don't know about the other places, but in Viren, where they have this religion, they're probably, Silk at least, he's an augur, so it's probably not like that for everybody, but what they tell people is that, literally that the gods are watching them. So they probably are just like, oh yeah, they take it. It's possible they just take it for granted that they're being watched, but also at this point, the gods haven't appeared for 30 or 50 years or something. 30 years? So,
wow. That's so interesting too, articulating that again, that when you think about religion, you think about, oh yeah, the gods are watching me. I better not do something bad. Jesus is, literally behind my shoulder right now, watching me. So I better not do it. But it's interesting that yes, in this world, the gods are watching you, through these cameras that have been installed everywhere.
And at least at some point, it would have been common knowledge. God isn't theoretical here.
Right.
Appears.
Well, and I mean, it's interesting because, we're coming in on Silk level where he's basically his whole life there have been theophanies. That whole, I mean, I was reading in chapter 5, it's that whole conversation he has with Quetzal about where Quetzal's explaining why he's basically suppressed theophanies as much as possible, and then the destruction of Paz and all that stuff. And he's I had to downplay Paz as much as I could because we just kind of don't talk about him anymore. And I tried to make Scylla bigger, and he's you aren't really old enough to consider that, but the old folks sometimes complain about it, So it's we're coming into it at a particular, we're learning about this whole world at a particular point in time when this is status quo or whatever. But there are people who are, I mean, actually, it's probably a significant number of people who are alive, considering the kind of biochem hybrid reality that's happening inside of a lot of people, Rose or whatever. There are a fair number of people in the world who still think of it that way.
Right.
The old way.
The younger people, you're right. For Silk, it probably is more about faith. I wonder if faith is a part of this religion and originally, or if Silk learns faith. Oh, maybe that's what the outsider is. Silk learning faith in a religion where faith is meaningless because you don't need it because God talks to you literally with his faith.
Well, we're kind of, I feel getting back into a Protestant Catholic thing of
right. Faith wasn't a thing with religions until, I don't know, not the ancient Greek gods,
Mm-hmm.
That's not. I mean, faith was a very different thing as compared to the American Protestant. Faith was there. It's just American Protestantism has taken it to this insane place.
Yeah. But they might not have called it even faith. Like they might not have like crystallized that concept. Like they might have worshipped, and like sacrifice too. But the faith to me seems like a newer concept. It's like being beholden to a concept. It's like a two-way kind of relationship.
I think faith has just gotten way more blind.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
an abstract.
That's kind of what I mean.
And I think that was a big thing of Protestantism, right? They were talking about it's not like this is the Calvinist thing. Your deeds, like what you do, aren't going to give you salvation. It's your faith that's in your soul, which has already been determined, that saves you. Right? Isn't that a big part of the Protestant Reformation? And so
I don't know if it's Protestant in particular, but it's definitely ding.
It's sitting right next to that compressor.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely like a newer concept.
I got a small yard. There's no place in my yard.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, why is that sound happening? And then I looked over and it's like right next to you.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was startled.
It's like, is mainframe kind of like their equivalent of Hades? Like there is a concept of the afterworld, but there's not a concept that's solidified of like the place a soul goes to based on its own self, right?
Well, and it's also a thing that's retreated. Like there haven't been theophanies. Like everything's breaking down. The millennial aspect of their religion has made it so that faith is important because there aren't demonstrations of the gods anymore. All you have is your faith in them.
It's hard thinking about these concepts, and how they plug into, or if they plug into, into Long Sun, like what is Long Sun seems to be a point of like a religious transition in their society, right? Like, but it's also societal transition too, and it's
what
right.
Is
Does that?
What is it about?
I mean, I think it's about how massive change on several different levels affects the change on each level.
Yeah. It's like The Wire.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I also think in this reading of the Long Sun, I am so struck with how similar this world is to our world over and over and over again. Like just what is happening right now, as all of our institutions are falling apart and everything's going topsy-turvy. I just feel so similar to America in 2022.
Oh, something that I've been thinking about, and I think like I saw something I saw sparked this thought. This isn't like me thinking about Lord of the Rings because I don't really like think about it. I'm Frodo, right? So how Lord of the Rings is about, and I guess it's about World War II, but it's about how like the good days are over. They are gone. All that we have left is what's here, and we're just gonna keep going. And that's kind of what this is about too. And that is where we are. And I guess it's where we've been for some time. And some stuff like that takes a long time to really like seep into everyone's mind. But more and more people, I think, are like, oh wow, no, none of this makes sense, and it is literally falling apart. And nothing is happening, and nothing works the way that we say. And we say that America has these values, but then everything we do is completely opposite to it, et cetera, et cetera.
It's all been corrupted by vampires.
From outside of the world. Ancient astronauts.
Yeah. So that's cool. The good days are over. They are just gone, but we're gonna keep going.
Well, and so this is, the religion is millennial. It's this like the gods are returning, the world's ending, everybody gets straight kind of thing. which is where our major, the Bible Belt kind of folks are in that same place. They're slavering for the end of the world. And it's interesting because that's also where Christianity started. Christianity started in a like, our Lord and Savior is coming back in 30 days kind of place. So it's interesting to look at it in that way. Mm-hmm. That like the what we want from the religion, the middle part, the like everything's stable, everything's fine, and we can expect it to be that way forever kind of feeling. That's not the old-timey religion, and it's not what people want when things are going crazy.
Yeah. It's a time of upheaval in the world. And like you're saying, you get to see that in your own life too. Like, So all of those elements are changing right now in the world. Like we see the religious, and we see how that is manifested in, like the revolts going on, and the crime and the breaking down of everything. Yeah, like all those changes kind of coincide, and probably have historically too. Like changes of religion go with changes of weather and economy, and like so it's just interesting to see like all of this world building. Like your original point, Jen, is like we're like seeing a time when the status quo is like truly turning over. But Quetzal's still trying to control it all, though.
Yes.
I think that we can argue that he's doing a good job of controlling it all.
It seems like he is, yeah. I'm curious about, and from everyone else who's read further along, like just how much he's manipulating Silk during this talk. Obviously a lot, but like just how much, like I'm not sure about.
Wait. Tim, I just need to ask this really quick. You have read this whole thing though, right?
No, I haven't.
We're at the point where you have read to.
Yeah, I think so. I think at some point in the past, maybe I've read further into 3, but not much further.
You have not read 4.
And no Short Son, right? I always forget where.
That's correct. At. Yeah, so I'm pretty much current. Yeah.
Far fucking out. That's so cool.
I know.
It's so much crazy shit.
I'm like that member of Wolfpack, It's like everyone else is like way ahead, but I'm right here. This is just what I know.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's cool. Yeah. It's a lot of cool shit for you to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have an idea of where
questions get answered. I think only more questions get asked.
Yeah.
The further you go along, because I don't understand what Quetzal is doing and what the gods are doing. And
what?
So, okay. Kypris enchants Mint, but then Echidna also enchants Mint, and then Mint. So the gods want to keep people on the whirl, but they're in Mint. But Echidna wants Mint to take over. She wants her to revolt and take over, and Silk to be made Calde.
In chapter 5, it seems like Silk or Wolf kind of says that it's not Echidna that's making Mint a warrior; it's Kypris, which made me think of you and your, Venus is Mars motif.
Yeah.
But there's like a little passage in part 5 that's like explicitly seems to be Wolf addressing exactly the thing you're saying, where he's saying like, maybe Kypris didn't even know that Kypris was such a badass warrior. But he definitely ascribes the like revolution to Kypris, this influence, and not Echidna's.
I also, I think that most people disagree with me on this, but I don't think that Poss wants to keep people on.
No, he doesn't. Of course not.
No, he doesn't.
The rest of the gods.
Poss is because Auk is the embodiment.
I just realized
Auk is the one who actually like does the shit.
Yeah, and I think that Poss knows that it would be better to be a god on the other planet than it is to be god in this ship.
Auk And so,
and just ego-wise, like that's his plan. Like he wants to do his plan. You know,
Right.
He's a dude with a plan, and he's Typhon. You know, like you're Typhon. You want people to just do the fucking shit you want them to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I just I answered my own question before I even asked it, really, because I realized that Auk and Silk are doing two different things. They're not working together. I knew that, but I didn't articulate that to myself, and I think that's why I didn't understand why I didn't understand. I was like, why?
They're at odds to each other.
Why is everybody trying to stay on the world, and why are they all trying to leave the world at the same time? I think was sort of my question, but that's not what's happening.
Yeah, no, Auk is trying to get people off the world, and Silk only wants to keep people on the world because he thinks it would be horrible to allow Pos to get to one of the other planets. Silk's trying to trap Pos.
Silk doesn't even know what Auk is doing, and he doesn't. Right? He doesn't even care. I mean, he cares. He's like, where's Auk? But he doesn't even know what he's doing, right? What Auk is doing.
I think not.
They don't even talk to each other ever again, I think.
Do they not talk to them? That might be the case.
That might be true.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting.
Well, and it's interesting that you think Silk is actively trying to suppress Pus?
I do. I think that by the end of Long Sun, Silk is furious with the gods.
That's true.
Yeah, but he also later becomes an aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I don't think that means that he's not trying to keep Pus on the world.
Okay.
I think that he becomes an aspect of Pus because then he'll have a toehold in keeping Pus on the world.
Okay.
Yes, Ryan?
Toehold.
A toehold.
Yeah. I'm going to get a toehold in the wall.
I'm becoming too Baltimore.
Toehold on you.
Go down there.
Good toehold on the wall.
I've just been riding around with Matt Sealander, and his Baltimore accent's rubbing off on me.
You're going to need toehold on that world if you want your religion to work out. It's not going to work if you don't got no toehold on the world.
Oh, dear. Oh,
the greatest accent in the world.
It really is.
It is.
It's absolutely true.
It's the best one.
Anyway.
Although I gotta say,
something we can all agree on.
There is some. I've begun to feel very strongly about the Nigerian accent, the Nigerian native speaking English, because for the past year or so, my guy that I have to Zoom with to make sure I can get my government speed, he's got one of those accents, and it's just it makes getting head shrink on Zoom so exciting. It really does make my health feel more important that a guy from Africa is talking to me about it in a way that I don't think even a Baltimore accent could.
Wow.
I had a Lyft driver who was from Nigeria recently, and he took a wrong turn on 83. So he got off on 83 and North Avenue, and the squeegee kids came over and tried to clean his windshield. And he was like, no. So they hit his car. So he got out of the car and started screaming at them about how he should hit them. And then he got back in the car and took me the way home and had to explain why he needed to teach those kids a lesson. And I was like, that's fine. I just want to go home. But he had that accent, and it was beautiful.
It is it's a really great accent.
It is good.
Yeah. I feel because it has authority, but in a way that's really just has a weird natural friendliness to it.
Yeah.
There's so much going on with that accent, and I kind of look forward to when I have to see that guy. He tells me, he asked me if I'm thought any, dark thoughts or thought about hurting myself or others and stuff. It's a question that I would just, I wouldn't even take it seriously if it wasn't spoken to me in a Nigerian accent.
When I worked at AIG in Tarrytown, New York, I worked with a Nigerian man who claimed in his youth to have stoned a witch to death.
Wow. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
All right.
He was a liar.
Old school.
He was a liar. That's good.
I mean, he was a notorious liar, but...
I want to hear more of his lies.
Huh?
I want to hear more of his lies.
Well, he told this story that at some point he was lying, that he came in and was like, last night, these burglars broke into my house and I fought them off. Yeah. And at the same time that I was fighting off these burglars, my wife didn't want to get taken by the burglars. So she was overdosing on pills. So I was fighting off the burglars while I was forcing my wife to puke up the pills. And then out of his pocket, he took a little thing of Kleenex and said, "Here are the pills." There was a bunch of pills in the Kleenex that apparently his wife had tried to commit suicide lest she be taken by the burglars.
Wow.
Somewhere in there, he was lying.
Yeah.
No, he had the pills, Connor.
He did have the pills.
But he did have the pills. Maybe he just
you should have started it. You should have taken him as quickly.
I should have immediately like, oh no.
He just needed a reason to explain why he had the pills.
Yeah, I guess.
Because the whole story is just, and that's why I have these pills.
It was everybody in that place was sleeping with each other, cheating on their spouses, sleeping with each other and stuff. It was a weird place.
What did you do there?
I worked in the mailroom. Me and Dina Kelberman worked in the mailroom. And we on our lunch breaks, we'd sneak into the Holiday Inn and go in the hot tub and stuff like that. It was a real episode of MASH.
Were you sleeping with anyone's husband or wife?
No, I was seeing a person who I think turned out to have schizophrenia.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
Time. Yeah, no, really. There was a birthday party every day. You had to
schizophrenic.
No, at AIG, there was a birthday party every day. You would end up spending half of your paycheck on birthday parties for the office.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds bad.
Story time.
So the other thing that happens in this chapter, after Quetzal and Silk and Marble hang out, then it's Mint and her ragtag army, huh?
Yes. Have we talked about Mint yet?
I don't think we did last week talk too much about Mayor McMint.
Oh wait, before we go there, do you think Quetzal is meant to like represent an abusive kind of religious guy, like an abusive priest?
I think that he's very complicated because he doesn't seem to be just like a one-to-one kind of like, oh, this is the Molestin priest. Because there's a lot of things about Quetzal that are really like kind of nice and admirable. Yeah, he's not like a very hateable
as
dude.
A Catholic, I feel like Quetzal completely encapsulates my complicated relationship with the Pope, where it's like, this guy's an amazing wizard and also clearly a monster.
But at the very least, do you think WOLFE is referencing that? Because I kind of do. It's like specifically like a boy, like that seems like a choice.
Yeah. Well, it's meant to evoke being predatory either way. It's
yeah, for sure.
Well, he is a vampire.
Yes. So yes.
Okay.
Like it's not the same, but
the whole thing about the Inhumai is like reflecting humanity back to itself. So like it's funny to even talk about them in terms of like just like any of those characters in terms of just like them at face value, because they're like reflecting.
But do you we don't know that WOLFE was thinking of them as Inhumai at this point, although we don't know that he wasn't either, so it's neither here nor there.
Oh no, Quetzal is definitely a vampire at this point and a stated vampire.
And I think the idea of the Inhumai is very present at all points in Quetzal.
Yeah. The second read of this, seeing every time that Quetzal comes up, like WOLFE can't help himself. He is like just really
he's like,
loves
this weird disconcerting toothless smile. Like every time that you see him, there's like something about him that he's like, he's a vampire.
Like if we like to compare this to Tolkien, if The Hobbit definitely has the ideas of Middle Earth have not been as solidified as they are in Lord of the Rings. Like he's definitely put more thought in between those two books. It is not that way between Long and Short Sun. Gene Wolfe is consistent all the way through on all the details.
It's the same. Okay, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
It just gets more explicitly fleshed out in Short Sun. But I agree with Connor for sure. It's like when you get into the rereads, it all is just like, oh yeah, duh.
I have this weird feeling in my head that Wolfe works by like meeting himself at an idea. Like he gets the concept and then he like writes his way to where that, like he knows something that we're moving towards.
To the door.
And by the time we get there, then he has to figure out, okay, so now what is this? What is the result of, like once we get to the idea, then he's like writing into the future with it.
Yeah.
But like these sort of big concepts that are true in the WOLFE stories, I think are both like sort of they've got like a weird push and pull to them. Him finding his way to what he knows also brings up a whole lot of questions that also then he has to explore. I don't know what I'm saying, but I feel like he knew all these really important things, and then in the process of like fleshing out what a person in that world's journey to learning some of those things is, then all of these other implications of those things become clear too, and the journey continues. I guess, that like it's very physical in between Long and Short Sun too, in that like Long Sun, we spend all this time inside this secret ship, and then we have to go outside of it, and we end up learning all kinds of things, all kinds of explanations for things once we're outside that are like a lot, about the Inhumai and about Typhon and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But it sounds like the consensus is that some people think that Wolfe has those ideas now as he's writing and conceiving of Long Sun. And I think and it's sort of splitting hairs to say like, oh, well, it sounds like, Ryan, if I'm understanding you correctly, he's like coming up with, like, it's like, I don't even know, like maybe like connector pieces, of all these ideas and narratives. And with Long Sun, he definitely has like the structure of it. And then with Short Sun, he can build connecting pieces that attach to the ideas here, and flesh them out in different directions. But that in the making of Long Sun, like that he is allowed, he knows exactly where the connections are going to be. Like
one thing to mention here is that the theme of what the Inhumai are, like the relationship between colonizer and indigene, Wolfe has already explored in the novellas of the Fifth Head of Cerberus. It's like what the Inhumai are. He's already written about that once.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting to know. Yeah.
And a lot of stuff from Short. Was that?
I still haven't read that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, see, a lot of the ideas in Short Sun are explored in Fifth Head.
The colonizer colony kind of.
Haven't gotten there.
Thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, does anyone want that paperback of Exodus that I found? I just picked it up because it was there.
Looks like Connor wants it. Connor, do you want it?
I'm totally covetous of it for sure.
I have one already, so it's up for grabs.
I will happily take.
I just got it because it was there, and I couldn't leave it there.
I feel like I get so many books from Jen. If anybody else wants it, they should get first dibs. But if nobody wants it, I certainly do.
I don't need any more books. Thank you, though.
I'm good.
It's yours, Connor.
Thank you.
You did it.
I'm excited for it.
Cool.
What else in chapter 4?
Going on to Mint, General Mint now?
Oh, General Mint? Oh, what's Johan? Has Johan said anything in all of this? Johan the fan? Johan the chatter?
Let me see. Talking about short songs about how questions answer questions. Kuiper's is the main character of the drama between the gods, I think. That's what Johan says. Johan thinks.
What?
I don't know. I think
Kuiper
he probably
is
said
kind
that
of a weird Jurassic Park kind of character in this book.
Tell me about that.
In a weird and then this is jumping into the next chapter 5 because that's what I read today, just to be in case we spilt over. But that little bit where I'm going back to that same passage in 5 I was referencing earlier, where Silk is talking about how the gods didn't expect, they thought they could rub out Kuiper's no problem. She's just a dinky little minor goddess of love. What they found out was that love contains steel. And so that maybe is a big part of this whole drama and battle here is that these gods were like, we're in charge, we're going to crush everybody else, no big deal. But the one that they can't crush turns out to be love, because love finds a way. Like doesn't Mason say that in Jurassic Park?
Mason does. 100%.
Yeah. So Wolfe's Catholic version of that is that love finds a way.
Right, exactly, because God is love.
Ultimately, the thing that pushes the universe in the right direction and or keeps it from complete destruction is love.
Yeah, the force of attraction, gravity,
which is like undervalued by the major gods, and who are the avatars of the spoiled and rich statesmen and the real aristocracy. Whereas Kuiper's is just like a prostitute that Poss liked, maybe, or some kind of vibe. She's some kind of minor mistress who gets a very nice ceremonial role, but then turns out to be the key to this whole giant apocalypse.
This is making me think of the last line of the novel Dune, where the Lady Jessica says to Chani,
"That'll do, big."
No, history will call us wives, because even though her man's marrying Princess Irulan, nobody's going to remember Princess Irulan because we're the people who actually do the moving. Mm-hmm. The concubines are the ones who control the men.
Because the wife is really the more ceremonial role.
Exactly. That the wife is about a contract. Mm-hmm. These are the people that they love. So history will call us wives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dune, the other Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, totally.
Not Kuiper's now. That you mentioned that. There was something really cool, and I think I marked it, but oh, okay. I got these little tabs, and they're really nice.
Nice.
Oh.
Did you trade your light bulbs for them?
I don't understand.
It's very dark in your camera.
Your window is darker than everyone else's.
Oh. For the tabs. I got you. I thought it was like I thought it was a reference. Oh. Sorry. This might be jumping ahead, but on 143. And I think this fits in what we were just talking about. Actually, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it. But Silk looks at the blood that's hanging, that he's getting a transfusion. He's getting a blood transfusion, and he's looking at the blood. And I feel like this is where Gene kind of introduces the idea that somebody's blood could change their personality.
Yeah.
Which is just cool. So I put a little star. So I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, I think Gene's totally. I mean, like the death, where they eat the dead people and the Autarch. He's totally into a kind of phylogenetic memory through blood.
Oh yeah, that's not where he introduces it. He's been talking about this the whole fucking time.
It's a theme he likes to explore in a lot of different ways.
That's funny. I've been talking. Anyway, but how Quetzal talking to Silk. This conversation he's having with Silk made me think about how, and this kind of fits in, I was talking about faith earlier, and how it kind of dawned on me that like, this book is interesting because the question of whether God is good is way more interesting. It's a better question than whether God exists. Like, whether God exists or not, the question of whether that is a good thing. Or, like, the nature of God. Like, would this being be a good... Do we really want this guy in our lives? Like, that's so much more interesting than, like, any other, like, religious question. Though it's not something I just heard from here, but you know what I mean. It's
Raised by Wolves.
Oh, really?
Totally.
I watched the first episode, and then I kind of forgot about it. But
yeah, it goes to insane places.
Every episode just gets crazier.
Cool. It's
HBO.
Good. Yeah, it is HBO, and I've seen some of the craziest things I've ever seen on that show.
Really? Cool.
Wow. I think so.
It's a really
I'm thinking
good
of
show.
one thing in particular right now, too.
Who I really want to know.
Did you ever watch Sally Forever?
I haven't watched Sally Forever.
You should watch that if you want to see some crazy things.
Okay.
Yeah, that's get really crazy.
Yeah.
But the concept of a good God is kind of niche and recent. Like,
it's such a weird thing that we have this like kind of strange 150 years or 200 years where people thought the idea that bad things happen was like an own on the idea of God.
Right.
It's such a strange thing for me to think about when I think about it too much about these dudes that are like, well, did you hear ever about this thing called the Holocaust? Clearly there's no God. You're like, really? That's a clearly?
God invented holocausts. He successfully killed everyone on the planet.
Yeah.
Usually, like the word Holocaust was invented because that's what people did to worship God. Like, they're evidence of God.
I do feel like I was sort of raised at a time when adults were like, at school, at my public schools, were sort of like, yeah, people used to believe in God because they're kind of simple, but then we had World War II and that set us straight. So now, since then, we pretty much realized, it's nothing. There's nothing. But we're nice to the God people still. Like that was my understanding of the history of religion when I was in grade school.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how It's pretty much it.
That's interesting. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I definitely know what you mean, though, Ryan. Yeah, there's that, that's all wrapped into like existentialism and shit like that, right? Like Nietzsche and shit, and like, but then the basic idea that if you experienced so much suffering and violence between man, that the idea of God might be jostled out of like your
the other conclusion you could have is that my idea of God was naive, or like that my idea of God was self-serving in a way that like God isn't.
Right. And I think that's what was challenged, was not the idea of God, but perhaps the idea of like, I don't know, the way that God was presented through the church in Europe.
The idea, the simplistic and childish idea of absolute good and absolute evil, I think, is what's being challenged. Like, God, just nothing is all good or evil, and that includes God. God is ineffable and beyond good and evil.
Yeah.
I believe
and like, when did those ideas start getting tossed into the mix? Like good and evil, like that.
So Zoroastrianism is the religion that first comes up with that a deity is that represents good is there, and a deity that represents evil is there. And the Jews pick that up when they're held captive in Babylon, and that's how it starts getting into the people of the book.
Zoroastrianism is Ahriman and Mazda.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That
exactly,
one, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mazda?
Or
Mazda.
Yeah,
Mazda.
Ara Mazda.
Or Mazda.
And
Mazda's the good God.
yeah.
Oh. Cool.
And it either grows up with or grows out of a Vestan religion. Like, so there's this interesting thing with the original Indian religion and Zoroastrianism, where for Indians, the devas are the good guys and the Ashura are the bad guys, but in Zoroastrianism, the Ashura are the good guys and the devas are the bad guys. So clearly they were somehow reactions to each other.
Oh. Neat.
But yeah, so that's where you first get the idea that deities are absolutely good or absolutely evil. Before that, deities are absolutely alien, and we like either appease them or we struggle with them.
That's cool. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
More sense.
It really is like right there at the very beginning of the Bible that the idea of good and of a human being knowing the difference between good and evil is a satanic illusion.
Right.
Like that is like how the Bible more or less starts, is with the idea of like that, where everything went wrong was when man decided, oh, I know what good and evil is as well as God does.
But only goes wrong from the point of man. Like, God needs man to make that mistake in order to exist, because God is loving man in spite of the fact that he made that mistake. So like, it's also part of the plan and necessary to have the fall of man. I think that's just my theory.
Sense.
But it is satanic in nature. It is from Satan, the whole idea that there is good and evil.
Hell yeah.
And like that's the thing. That's like exactly what Satan says. Like, you'll know what God knows, and he doesn't want you to know what he knows.
Right.
So don't, like, the worst thing for him would be as if you pretended that you knew.
Right.
The history, it just seems to be people not having learned anything from history over and over and over again. Like, every historical event was like easily have been preventable if people had remembered other historical events.
Well, I think one real difficult part of all this is remembering that we are also wrong. Like, as right as we feel we are right now, there's something we don't know that's going to prove later on that we're absolute fools. It's real hard to move forward when you keep that in mind, but it's inevitable, I think.
That idea excites me. Like,
Sure.
something
I
I don't even know about yet. Beautiful. Is like so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I like, the world sucks. If you actually do know everything, then you have nothing left. Like, it's just this.
Yeah. That's a sad idea that I know.
It's the worst. It does kind of make sense why people who think they know everything end up destroying the world. It's because, like, that, of course, that's what you'd do if this was all that could ever possibly happen. There's nothing left to do but break it.
Definitely.
I'm thinking about boys at the bar shouting at each other about what they know about records and never being able to hear each other or learn, so they can't learn what the other people know, and they all only ever know what they know.
Yeah. Many such cases.
Boys at the bar.
Boys at the bar.
This, what Ryan just said, I feel like, introduces something. Well, okay. So I found another really cool thing on the same page, like on the top of this letter that that Remora writes for Quetzal about declaring Silk the Calde. It looks like the month is Nemesis, and so I was like, oh yeah, that's like a goddess. Oh, it's a god or something. It's some mythological thing. I'm just gonna look that up, and I have I have like an encyclopedia, occult god encyclopedia or whatever that I looked it up in, and it said that she's the goddess of time and fate, and that and this is just like what I'm sure there's way more, or that this is even wrong, but like but Ovid is quoted in it, and it says that all kings and rulers were brought down by her, and even Zeus feared her, and she was called Adrasteria or something, the inescapable one. But I think that's really cool if their month is Nemesis, and Nemesis is the goddess of fate that brings down all rulers because of and that's very cool and interesting and nice.
Yeah. And it's a winter month, right?
Oh, is that why? Because it's really hot and it's unseasonably hot or something?
Yeah. The whole time in the beginning, in the first book, I feel like Silk keeps saying, like, there should be snow.
Mm-hmm.
Another way that this book is just like right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
It is like a little bit too on the nose almost. Like, I feel like, especially with the nixing of or the permanent daylight savings or something, how this has like suddenly really started to trouble me.
It is uncanny sometimes.
Yeah. There's like a crazy feedback loop we're obviously moving into where the seasons are coming apart. And so we're readjusting to keep our artificial world intact, irrespective of what is happening outside of it and what changes might be like going on. And that, I feel like, is getting us further away from the concept of seasons and cycles, which would be like a really useful thing to have to deal with the problems that we have. But we're like setting up the younger people that are coming to be even like more alien and like possibly even hostile to the idea of seasons and cycles. And like, I feel like guiding people more into the idea of just like a linear path, like a up and up and up, or down and down and down.
Aggressive.
Yeah, it seems really scary to move people even farther away from the possibility of renewal or like reset or
recycling.
Yeah. The way I think about that, Ryan, and I've had a similar thought, I think, or feeling, but it's just expressed a little bit differently in my brain. But like, I think of it as like with the as time progresses for young people of like a shitty mindset, like thinking about nature in general is like sort of becoming like more passé. And I just mean like the natural world and the natural order. It's like kind of associated for me in my generation, maybe some of us, that preserving nature is sort of like has this moral or virtuous element to it. And that sort of like concept of like protecting nature and like preserving our ideas about nature is becoming like an old-fashioned idea, and that's kind of how I think about kind of like the idea that you brought. Like that's the feeling that I get. It's like that's it. Like being moral about nature is just like it's just not a possibility anymore. Like like the world is man-made. You know, like just get over it. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like everything that's bad that's happening in our world right now is the result of like an intentional malicious action by a person. So stopping bad things from happening involves stopping bad people from doing what they want to do. And nature has no place in like the fight, in the struggle. Like if something needs to be done, we do it, or else bad people win. And like nature just becomes a total like collateral damage in the whole fight now. Like there's no like what is the natural thing to do, or like what else could we do, or what could we not do that we are doing? Like those are no longer. There's no outside. Everything is the fault of people. Everything is controllable by people. Everything is like the result of people's decisions. It's a world without nature.
Yeah.
Nature's just the room that we're in. It's not like a character or a force or any kind of like condition to be considered. It's just like the stage, the set where our climactic battle will take place.
Yeah. It's certainly like beneath us, in that mindset. Yeah.
It does seem like our culture has really, really seized upon the idea that people can do anything and will do anything. If good thing hasn't happened, it's because no one's done it yet, or no one's been allowed to do it yet.
Mm-hmm. Kind of getting back to Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Who knew? What a important story it was.
For a long time, it was the book that I had read the most. Like when I was in the 8th grade, I read it 12 times, and that was the most I had ever read a book.
Is Michael Crichton dead?
Yeah.
Is he alive?
I want to say, yeah.
He died recently-ish.
Oh. I didn't know
Did they ever try to make another movie out of his books? They did, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
They made many movies out of his books.
Which ones?
They made several different movies of the Andromeda Strain.
Okay.
They did Sphere.
Timeline. There's a Timeline movie.
Yeah, Timeline. They did
Lost World
Empire of the Sun.
Oh, so they made lots of movies about his books, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is more. Westworld is now the book. He didn't write that book, but he wrote the movie. Like it was his idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's more I know.
Congo?
Yeah, Congo.
Maybe Eaters of the Dead, there's a movie, but I haven't seen it.
Antonio Banderas is in it. It's called The 13th Warrior.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
I've only read Timeline of all the Crichton books, and it sucks.
Oh, you should have read Jurassic World. Or Jurassic Park, rather. It's so good.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really into Timeline when I read it when I was like 11.
I mean, I think that there are ethics, and I mean it makes sense because Michael Crichton is a doctor, but there are ethical little wrestling with ethics portions of that are wonderful and fascinating.
Which one?
Timeline or
Jurassic Park?
Oh, Jurassic Park.
Definitely Jurassic.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great that he wrapped that all in there. It wasn't just a story about the dinosaur park gone wrong. It was good. It was good. Yeah, it's a lot to it. It's good.
When I was a kid, I read Jurassic Park and Congo. I just remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Good books.
I read Andromeda Strain too.
Mm-hmm.
I only remember people reading those books as children. Like I don't do adults read? Adults read Michael Crichton books, right?
They're written for adults,
right? Yeah,
but they're written for commuters. They're written to be read on the train while you're going to work. I That's my impression. And it's like John Grisham writes for lawyers. Michael Crichton writes for doctors. I really feel like that they're professional people writing for their professions. I mean, wider audiences will appreciate them, but I mean, Michael Crichton's first books are all about doctors in doctor settings doing doctor things. He's writing for doctors. As a doctor, this is what I want to read. And he's pleased that other people are enjoying it. But he's a doctor who really can only talk to doctors.
Sort of like how Gene Wolfe is a Pringles machinist writing books for Pringles machinists.
Sure.
And aren't we all Pringles machinists? I mean, you know, that it's, they talk about Gene Wolfe as a writer's writer, you know.
Oh, we're Misha sighting. Sorry.
Little cat.
It's interesting that I feel like Wolfe always feels the need to. It's like he's like, oh shit! Like people are gonna wonder, like how come the Azoth can't cut through the building, but it can cut through a floater? Okay, all right. Oh yeah, it's because floaters are made out of tin. Right. That's it. Like I can actually see him like making these decisions. You know, he's actually like thinking because that matters to him. Whereas like I mean, maybe in the sci-fi community people do actually track that stuff. But in your general reader, you know, isn't worrying about those little details. But Wolfe,
he's a great man.
Yeah, it's like the kind of thing that clearly someone who has been annoyed by another book's seemingly strange gap in logic.
Yeah, exactly. He has to explain it. He has to seal up all the little cracks.
Yeah. If he's left a crack, it's like you need to go in it because he left it for you on purpose.
Yeah, there's something inside of that crack.
Yeah.
There's something in that plot hole that you're going to need.
Got to get up in that crack.
Mint is amazing. And it's Mint is like Hammerstone. Mint is like Wolfe, I feel like clearly in his military experience, got in his head what a perfect soldier and a perfect commander would be like. And he had to put them into his story. I feel like he must have seen people who were almost there or people who are really not perfect at all. And then I feel like we get the result is like Mint and Hammerstone, in this book, his like explanations of if a soldier or a commander is doing their job exactly right, what are they like? And this fucking line in chapter 4 that Mint has is so good. It's like I feel like it would make Mint a role to kill for as an actor when Mint is like interrogating these like dirty faced peasant army crew that she has, and she's asking all these people what they should do, and Zorro's like, I don't know, Maytera, I think you ought to decide. And Mint's like, so do I, and I will. But it's foolish to make decisions without listening to advice if there's time for it. I think we should attack right here. Like that business is just like, I would follow Mint into, if I witnessed someone do that in real time, I would follow them into any burning building.
Or when she takes time that everyone learns one another's names. Yeah. That's badass. You know,
I mean, and like, this is where it becomes important that Mint is possessed by Kypris, you know? She is a general with love, and that's why she's so successful at being a general. She's a compassionate general.
Of course. I was thinking while I was reading yesterday about how and Ryan, I think that this is illustrated by what you just said, that in this and in A New Sun, everybody who gets power, who is like a good character, you know, like someone we like, they immediately become very breezy. And like Silk, when he's talking to Gulo, he immediately becomes very breezy. Like he's always very like, thinking about tomatoes. Oh no, I like ate a tomato in front of someone. Fuck. But then Gulo comes and that's his underling, and he's like, oh, Gulo, my good man, take this bracelet. And here, and by the way, like, and like, also when he's talking to Shell, he's very like casual, but like Mint The Autark in New Sun is very cash.
Yeah, all these people are so secure.
Yeah, secure.
They're like the opposite of insecure.
I think it's also important to. I think it's important to remember Horn at this point. Anytime we're getting too much into what Silk is or isn't like.
Right.
We haven't really popped into Horn brain in a while. You know, it's like it's easy to just rattle along and forget about Horn.
I did forget about Horn. You're right.
I do always get the impression when Silk is talking to Gulov that he is putting on a performance. He's doing what he thinks Gulov needs.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why he's able to have a little bit more backbone because Gulov needs it. But that's not who he is.
I completely understand what you mean because I'm the kind of person who, like, in school, I wouldn't want to stand up to get a tissue because I wouldn't want people to watch me get a tissue. But if one of my friends next to me was too scared to get a tissue, I would immediately be like, "Oh, I'll just go get a tissue for you." I don't know why. I don't understand how. That kind of like
because you became possessed by Kypris when your friend needed something.
Exactly. Like, yeah, because the role of someone who needs a tissue, that's not a role, but the role of someone who's helping someone else is, I guess that's like a different person, and you can fill that. You don't have to create it because there's something there already that you can fill.
Very interesting statement. I just wrote down Jordan's tissue anecdote so I can think of it later. You said a lot.
Yeah,
that is a good. I do feel that you've struck to the heart of something.
Yeah.
What makes it easy or difficult to act?
Oh yeah.
And I think the Autark is also a person who is very much always playing a role that is foisted upon. He's not doing. Yeah. And they're very manipulative roles, but it's not because he wants to do it. It's because he's found himself in the position where that's what he's doing. Autark is a victim.
A thing that I think that comes across now that we're talking about the Autark, like a common theme between Long Sun and then what's happening here in New Sun is the the dupes in these stories think the world runs itself and that it's just an automatic thing. But the people who know anything know that not a single part of it is automatic, that it's all like everything requires some effort or else it like you can't just sit back and let it happen. The world, like a society, not the world, a society, like a society requires people to be playing roles. And if no one is playing a certain role, then there's big problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not participating in what's happening, then something is going to happen to you.
Yeah. And that like Mint and the Autark and stuff and Silk, when he's like firing on all cylinders, are at points where they know the thing that's happening is like is a role to play. Like that being an actor is extremely important to keeping everything keeping all the parts moving. It's not that like the gears is not going to turn unless you go in front of it and do the gear turning dance.
Yeah.
And like the gears are frequently people. You have to turn them by acting the role of acting the role of the leader.
Yeah. Well, that's why they kind of achieve these very large things, but in, by very small moves. It's all of their machinations are like subtle and like, but with like, hugely impactful.
Yeah. And it brings me back to our own real world where it's, and kind of when Tim, you were talking about nature, like sort of disappearing as being a consideration in the conflicts, is that there does seem to be when I read the internet, and especially like we're having a really interesting thing, I think, going through the Ukraine are we involved in this war and not business? And how there seems to be a lot of stuff on the internet that's like, well, we already are, so we should be more. And I see older people responding to it being like, hey, I was alive when Iraq happened, or I was alive when not after 9/11, and that might have something to do with what's happening now. But that is kind of just a thing that people of our age can say to each other, and does not seem to impact the discourse that is like, like the front-facing main American discourse that I can look up on the web. Like when I say like, what's happening on the news when I'm at work, and I click to the news story, like the things that happened when we, 20 years ago might as well have been on a TV show or something. Like they're not really entering. No one is going to change. No one like that's 22 is changing their mind based on what somebody who's 42 is telling them about 9/11.
Yeah, that's crucially important, and it's analogous to like, I don't know, like the pictures you would see on Instagram. Like in general, you don't want to see like an old person, doing like, this is what life was like, unless it's like specifically retro or vintage or whatever. But in general, you want to see like the new young person. You want to see what's new. You want to see what young people think, or at least that's what sells. And so that's like, largely what you get. Like, but when you access, news or media, through those traditional channels. But another interesting thing, I don't know, this is a side note to what you're saying, Ryan, but I think it's age. I think it's the wisdom of age and generation. I mean, you literally saw and remember those things that affects you, and you're wiser now. This isn't part of your point, but I think that process continues as you get older. And I imagine that if we all make it to old age, like, I think that's the kind of shit that makes old people seem like out of touch. But I don't know, like, it's like this weird paradigm. Like it's going to happen to us, right? Like when we're 80, we're going to have some out of touch opinion. It'll probably be like, hey, what if we don't burn down, the last 10 square miles of forest? Like, what if we hold on to it? And it's like, shut up, old man, and like, it's just, that's gonna be it.
One of the ways
this is quick. There's an interesting YouTube channel that I've been watching where a man who's probably in his 70s used to work for PBS in the 70s, and he's showing a bunch of interviews he did of people who were really old in the 70s. So he's like talking about someone who was born in the 1910, remembering what the oldest person in her Canadian town, or New England town remembers. And what she remembers is that somebody got raped and pregnant, so they all shunned her until she froze to death. It's all stories like that. So this would be like 1850 is when that happened.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that so perhaps one reason that we have a hard time paying too much credence to what old people are saying right now is because we have so much record of what they were saying before. So we're like, I don't need to listen to what you're saying now. I can go watch video of you saying what you were saying at the time and read the massive amounts of documents we have from that time, and I can make my own ideas about your time period. I don't need to hear what you think about your time period now.
But just imagine what information they'll have like later on, like.
It's kind of like somebody only reading New Sun once and saying, I've read New Sun, I don't need to go back and read it again.
Which is how most people read it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel like if you get all the way through New Sun, you're more likely to read it again? I mean,
the only person I know that's only read it once is James Ford.
The first time.
James Ford's the only person that I know that read it that way.
Straight. I mean, most people I know have only read like Shadow of the Torturer,
Right.
Yeah. And by most people I know, I mean like 3 people who have read Shadow of the Torturer that aren't in this group.
I do think the idea of getting I do think the idea of getting through Earth and not wanting to start over is kind of insane.
Right.
But Jimmy also.
I think everyone who reads New Sun even knows about Earth.
No.
I hope so.
They don't like come. I don't think there's any like omnibus that has all 5. Is there?
No,
I don't see
think
much.
so.
I don't see as much talk of Earth. I see plenty of talk about New Sun, but
That would be weird. But
News.
I was I just now looked on YouTube because I was like, oh wait, other people must be talking about Gene Wolfe on YouTube, and I saw a bunch of like first impression Shadow of the Torturer book guy Unlimited or whatever. There's like a couple of them, and I'm just so excited to watch them after this because they're gonna be so funny.
oh, we should watch one together sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Like live.
Yeah, I would.
You
love
should
to
do
that.
reaction vid.
Oh,
Yeah.
reaction vid, yeah. It'll be funny because we'll all just be booing the whole time.
Yeah, we won't even be able to hear any of them.
We'll
Like,
just be throwing popcorn at the screen.
You're wrong.
yeah,
Keep
can we-
reading it.
This guy doesn't know shit. I have to say, I keep having these feelings like the more I reread Long Sun, and then I don't know, I haven't made it the second time through Short Sun yet. I stalled out, but I keep coming back to this feeling that it just like New Sun is the best.
Oh, really? I'm really, really into Short Sun right now. I feel
I
like
know.
Short
I
Sun's
love
the
Short
one
Sun.
where there's still so much I don't understand in it. Like, there's a bunch of stuff I don't understand in New Sun, but I have a really good framework for how to explore that stuff. I'm still trying to find myself in Short Sun.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm this last time I also stalled out. I stalled out partway through the 3rd book, but like my ability to orient myself in it had grown a bunch, but I still am not 100% there. So
I mean,
that's
I
why I'm
might
most
feel
excited
differently
about
once I've read it as many times as I've read,
Mhm.
It really like the other Long Sun and Short Sun are so like strange and cool, but like New Sun is truly truly unique, I guess. Like what kind of book is like that?
The Bible.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, my hot take on that is I think that New Sun does it way better than the Bible.
Sure. I mean, that's not a hot take in this group.
Yeah.
No,
Because
but
I
know
just
what
think
you
it's
mean,
much
though.
more. It's more focused and targeted. Like the Bible just had to take a long time to discover what it was doing, and the New Sun could go like, well, the Bible did it. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, but New Sun. Yeah, I haven't read Short Sun yet, so I don't have the same perspective as you all. But just between Long Earth, I don't necessarily consider in the same 4 books. That's just weird. That's just a masterpiece. I mean, it's its own beast. It's so good. Like it just has a lot to it. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think it's my favorite. That I can say for sure. Long Sun is amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love it.
Well, you haven't even finished Long Sun yet.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm in it. You know,
Some more stuff happens.
Oh my god, crazy!
A lot more stuff happens.
Are you arguing that I'm going to dislike it, or that I'll like it better than New Sun?
You might like it better than New Sun.
I'm just saying it's funny to have a favorite.
Okay.
Before we've even gone to mainframe.
But you love New Sun.
I love New Sun so much.
Yeah.
I enjoy the pace of Long Sun a lot.
Long Sun is so readable. It's like we've talked about that plenty of times, but it's just like,
is it?
I mean, on its
from page to page.
Yeah,
I do
like
find
it
like I
moves.
can go along, and
I get what
feel
you
like
mean. Okay.
I'm not. I don't need to stop and think about this yet. I know where I'm at. Whereas both New Sun and Short Sun, I constantly have to be like, what the fuck did he say?
Yeah, what is happening?
I love
I don't know if that was a
Short
sentence.
Sun. Yeah, Short Sun
chapters are
is
so
fucking
good,
crazy.
though.
Short Sun is like fucking free jazz or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's definitely like you don't even get through a whole sentence necessarily. We have to be like, I need to think about this for a second and figure out who.
Short Sun is free jazz, and Long Sun is like Steely Dan.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
And does that make New Sun just like regular jazz?
Yeah, it's like Bird.
Yeah, it's Charlie Parker.
That makes
It's Charlie Parker.
makes sense to me. I think the thing that keeps Long Sun from being like a favorite, like I can't wait to read it again. But it's the fact that, just like in a general sense, the fact that you have to read the other two before you read that one, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really its own thing. I feel like Long Sun and New Sun can both stand on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But Short Sun does not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
It's cool.
It's the most
Yeah.
challenging
On
one
it.
in many
You get
respects.
to do,
And it
you
is
get to
really,
do
it is really a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like a
not.
sequel to both of these. It's like a sequel
Yeah.
and Long Sun.
Yeah. I mean, Long Sun is a sequel to New Sun, but I do think you could pick it up and read it
Yeah.
and take it as its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there would be some stuff that you, like a little bit of stuff that you would lose along the way. But
I want to convince Ronsky to do that because Ronsky
yeah,
hasn't read any of them yet. I want him to be our guinea pig to be a person that reads Long Sun first.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about, I think it was Tim who said that if they adapted these books, they would have to do Long Sun first. And then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, like for an adaptation. But then I was like, could you read Long Sun first? And then, yeah, I think I remembered, Ryan, that you said that you were trying to get someone to read Long Sun first.
I want to try to get Ronsky to do it.
It might, the Typhon episode in New Sun might be more interesting if you even realize it's Typhon. If Typhon is Pos, because you could miss that really easily. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a paltry connection, though. Like, it's like...
Yeah,
it's very paltry, yeah.
I think if you didn't know, if that wasn't something that you were like really keeping in mind, it's just not. I don't know. Maybe you would think about it, like when Severian's talking to Typhon and Typhon describes the whole. It may but also I think it would depend on like do you read Long Sun and then immediately read New Sun? Or do you read Long Sun and then, a couple of years go by and you read New Sun? Because that's a totally different kind of...
It's like you would have to read Long Sun and then New Sun and then Long Sun again and then Short Sun.
And then New Sun.
Yeah.
And then you just go do them all again. Yeah, forever.
Yeah, at this point we can.
I mean, I have to say, I'm kind of psyched to read. I guess where I'm going with this is I'm kind of psyched to read New Sun again.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, I'm always psyched to read New Sun. That shit rules.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, I have to make it through the second of Short Sun. I want to make it through 2 times of Short Sun. I mean, I've really enjoyed, I'll put it this way. I've personally enjoyed doing this. Like when we started book club, that was like my third reading of New Sun, and now this is my third reading of Long Sun, and I want to go to Short Sun also having 2.
That's real intense. That's a short period of time. It's like you're saying you're going to take acid every day.
What?
It's just like a lot of material to cram into a short period of time, I think.
Not that short.
What do you mean?
It's years on it.
I think that I have different feelings about Short Sun than you. Then.
Well, I mean, I've read it twice. I've read it. I've read it like 1.3 times.
Okay.
So I just have to make it through the rest of the second read. I just stalled out on my second read. I think I can make that happen.
In my head, you needed to do another whole read through, and then you were going to read it through again with us. And I think that's an intense thing to do.
No, I just want to finish it for the second time.
Okay.
It's too confusing the first time. What are you even going to talk about the second? I don't know.
Oh, I just wouldn't want. I wouldn't want to turn around and read Short Sun again after I've read Short Sun. I feel like that would be too much.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to be
so
there.
much work.
I don't think we're going to be there for a while. So
yeah, it's going to take a minute.
We got a while.
And I think at this point, my first read of it was maybe a year ago.
Okay.
I mean, how many chapters does this book have?
Here you go.
I feel like this chapter.
But also we all agreed that that it doesn't make any sense to read we're gonna have to take a break because everyone's gonna have to read Short Sun before we can talk about it. Didn't we all agree on that?
Yeah.
So like if everyone's starting on a fresh read through, I think I have plenty of time.
I mean, you should do what you can do.
maybe when we're all doing our Short Sun homework, we just like do some short stories or something like book.
I really want everybody to read Free Live Free.
I think I have it. I think I got that at the thrift store. I think I have it, but I haven't.
I would be very because it is a comedy. It's what he wrote to blow off steam after Newson. He wrote a comedy, and it's every bit as complex as Newson, but a slapstick comedy with recognizable comedy characters in it.
That's fun. Man. I mean, that might make sense as a palate cleanser or something. Of course, then we're like reading books and then reading a second book also.
Too much.
Yeah, I think it's kind of intense.
I just want to know what people think of that book.
I like the idea. Are you saying that like if we have to pause to make sure that everybody reads Short Sun first, that we do something else in between?
What if we just like hang out once a month?
I guess that works. Yeah, we barely talk about
homework. That would be no homework at all.
No, there is homework. There is homework. The homework is you have to be reading Short Sun so that we can do it in book.
Yeah. So you have to do your homework and not talk about it.
Yeah, that's kind of. I guess that's kind of fucked up.
Secret homework. Secret homework.
Well, no, it's not fucked up. That's not fucked up. If we were reading up, okay. If we decided, I think what we have to do. It's also we decided this was going to be a 2-hour meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty much done with this chapter anyway. There's only one more thing.
I feel like,
Yeah, we were so
what's the one more thing?
But so, what I wanted to say, I think what we should do whenever we get to the end of this book and we have to take our break for everyone to read Short Sun, I think we should decide when we're going to start. Like, we should put we can decide how many months are going to, we're going to allot for that. I mean, and make it something that's very reasonable.
How many? Short Sun is 4 books?
3.
3? Oh, cool. I have all of them then. That's good.
They're like 300 pages each, I think. 300 pages, I believe.
I don't know because I have it in the one single.
Yeah.
It's the shortest of them all, I'm pretty sure.
It's short.
Fucking dense, though.
I mean,
but anyway, I think we should have like a time in mind that we're gonna go into it, so that it doesn't just become so nebulous.
3 books.
But then I think we should have some just like meetups for fun in between.
Yeah.
And if people end up talking about Short Sun, that's fine. It's not like it's going to spoil anything for when we,
I was having a crazy vision where we had to go on a field trip where we all rent a sailboat together and try to sail it someplace while we're reading Short Sun.
That would be incredible.
Earlier today, Kenny said that he thought we should have these meetings in that weird little like cave room in the Club Charles.
Oh,
he's like Kenny was like, I don't know why you guys don't have your meetings in that weird round room.
Well, our access to that weird round room has been.
People want to go to that place when they work there or whatever,
or on a Sunday morning. Or Saturday morning or whatever. So our other logistical thing is, when is the next meeting? When are you leaving on tour?
A week from today.
A week from today.
And then I get back on May 1st. It's not that long. It's like 10 days.
Okay.
12 days or something.
Here, let me.
So we could have a meeting Sunday morning on May 1st.
No, I won't be back. I get back at some point.
I was making a joke.
Oh, okay. Very funny.
Thank you.
Well, we could do another Tuesday evening one.
I can't do the 3rd.
Can't do the 3rd.
I could do Tuesday the 26th if you wanted to meet remote from on tour, Jen.
I have. There's no way I can tell you that I can.
Yeah, I like.
Tour. That is not possible.
That's not how tour do.
It has to be after. I'm sorry.
No, that totally makes sense. I could.
But I'll do a weeknight if you guys want.
My that week from the 1st to the 6th is just like really up in the air for me, so I'm not sure. I bet I could do Saturday the 7th.
Yeah, maybe we do that weekend.
IRL?
I'm down for Saturday the 7th for sure.
Saturday the 7th.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Well, penciled in.
Mark it down. Yeah.
Johan, mark your calendar. He doesn't have to mark his calendar. He just gets an email when we do stuff.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to do it on the porch, we can do it on the porch.
I like porches. I'm on the porch.
Yeah.
My porch, anyhow.
Yeah.
I just put a new roof on my porch, so it.
Oh wait, how's your kitchen coming along? Have you been working on it?
Frozen.
Very
Oh.
You don't. Oh no, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening to my internet lately.
It was only those like 2 times, I think, or maybe more, but wasn't
The internet's starting to rebel.
Yeah, it thinks it's going to get renovated
that might
next.
Be true. But anyway, you won't get dripped on now on my porch because I put a new roof on.
Neat.
Yeah, that is neat.
But my kitchen might be like partly to entirely destroyed when you guys come over.
We'll hang out on the porch.
Yeah.
No, I want to hang out in the destroyed kitchen.
That's
You are
possible.
punk.
Mark can zoom in from the
kitchen.
The destroyed kitchen, yeah.
Yeah.
Just have a little chair in the middle.
That seems reasonable and efficient.
Mark loves to zoom.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
All
right, here I'm gonna
Corona just
I'm gonna
so he
stop
could
the
zoom
stream.
more.
Wave goodbye to you.